Hey guys, I'm gonna just do a quick video on thresholds for you and Bear. I'm gonna brief over it really quickly because I can tell that you guys really just want to know what to do with this guy, and so I don't feel like I even need to go into the whys and all that. It's just, Bear does better with more boundaries and limitations, so I'm gonna kind of walk you through a really great way to do really little things with the crate and the doorways and stuff that will help burn some of his mental energy, build his pack drive, and just in general calm him down. So this is his crate right here, and I have it covered. And when he first got here, when I would go up to his crate, he would try to bolt out of it when I opened the door. And I don't know if he does that for you or not, but if he does, which is probably kind of hard to see because he's a black dog, so it's probably kind of hard to see actually Bear in here. Here he is. So you have a wire crate, so this will actually be a lot easier to see. This is actually a terrible video now that I'm looking at the camera. You can barely see Bear, you can see his collar. So what I have actually taught him is that I'm not going to open the door until he sits. So I don't even say sit, I never even tell him to. He just learned by me waiting for him to sit that the only way I was going to open the door was for him to sit. So then when I would open it, he would try to come out. And I don't even know if he's doing this with you guys or if he was just testing me when he first got here, but I want the door open to not mean go. So what I'm going to have you guys do is, and we're going to actually practice this briefly on Saturday, which is you have to sit before I open the door, and I'm going to open the door, and you have to stay in a sit. And if he tries at any point to break the sit, I'm going to close the door like this and wait for him to sit, and then I'll open it back up once I see he's sat. So breaking a sit is actually going to close the door back up, or at least shut it. It doesn't have to latch it, but at least shut it. And remaining in a sit and being patient is going to be the only way he can come out of his crate, right? So that's step one, is you have to stay sitting with the door open before I release you to come out of your crate. Now, the other thing that I've been doing with him, let's see if I can get it from this angle, because that's how he's going to come out, is I've been leashing him when he comes out of his crate because he's super hyper and wild, and I'm trying to get him to be calmer. So I'm going to actually leash him, I'm going to give him a release command to come out of his crate, and I'm going to leash him up while he's coming out. Let's go, Bear. I say let's go, and then I'm going to use the leash to hold directly up like I've taught you guys before to put him into a sit. Sit. And this is hard for him. He breaks the sit several times because he's very, very hyper when he comes out of his crate. So that's what I would recommend. No, you're not going to have to do this forever. He is an 11-year-old dog, so, there are some things you'll probably have to manage forever, but I'm hoping it's not this one. And then I put the e-collar on him. Right, so he has to sit. I open the crate door. He has to stay in a sit. I leash him on his way out. I put him back into a sit. I usually wait until his sit is solid and he's calmed down before I put the collar on him so that he's not squirrely. When I put the collar on him, sit. Then I maintain that sit until I'm ready to move forward. Now the e-collar sits, I like to change sides, so I'll rotate it. So the box where the actual prongs sit go right below his ears right here. So I'll show you this Saturday. They sit low, sits right below his ear, up high on his neck. So that's where that's going to sit. And then the leash actually sits underneath the e-collar for e-collar training purposes. I don't want to go into why, but I like to put the leash underneath the e-collar. So that's the whole coming out of the crate and putting all the equipment on. Now what I want to go do is doors. Let's go. Because doors have been a huge source of a contention in your life with all the bolting. You have to excuse the lovely camera work. I don't like to edit my videos. So here's my door, one of the two that I'm going to show you today. Now, just in the time period that I have spent with him, you know, he's been in his crate for about 2 hours. So sit. He's always a little excited when he comes out, right? They usually all are. But just in that time period, I was trying to move things around my garage to get him out the door. I could hear in his breathing that he was getting more anxious and more excited. Just because I wasn't paying attention to him and kind of keeping him in a calm state. The breathing is lowered, it's still kind of anxious. That heavy breathing that you've probably experienced most of his life is an anxiety breathing. So that the emphasis in kind of trying to keep him calm when he comes out of his crate is really important because it sets the tone for the outside world. So we really want to put a lot of emphasis in, you know, like this type of stuff. Like even if a session is kind of revolved around, hey, you're going to be really calm before we go outside and relieve ourselves or work. That's the best thing you can do for this guy, right? So the first door, I'm going to walk to it. Let's go. Sit. Now, you're going to walk him to all your doors. Let's go. So you might have to have a leash on at first until you get better with the e-collar. Hey, Bear, here. Good. But, like, wherever his crate is or wherever you are starting from, like let's say you're in your living room, sit. And you're headed to the door. Whether he has a leash on or not, I would really encourage him to walk to the doors with you and not meet you there. So if I'm Bear, he shouldn't be here without you. He needs to be actually, let's go from whatever location you're at, walking in a heel to that door. So this is going to help build the pack drive. Come. Because he gets real excited and he gets really amped up. Sit. I know. Let's go. He gets real excited and amped up. And then that really kind of creates this kind of predatory, excited state. Bear, what are you doing? So you're not paying attention. So I'm going to screw off. Sit. So that whole walking him, you know, he's hard to walk in heels. So walking him around your house in a heel is going to build his pack drive up higher. And believe it or not, it'll translate to the outside world. So I would encourage you in the initial month, 2 months, 3 months, really, it depends on his progress. And of course, you guys can keep in contact with me about his progress so that we can kind of discuss where he's at. But walking him around your house and not allowing him to have this like freedom to run around your house, but instead he's either in spot or walking in a heel with you, sit, is one of the best things that you can do that are simple that will build his pack drive, right? You just kind of implement it into your lifestyle. Like, hey, we're going to walk over to the place board, walk into a heel with me, and I'm going to put you on your spot. Or I want to take you outside to relieve yourself, so I'm going to make you walk with me to the door and then maybe outside in the backyard for a couple minutes. The more you just throw in, you're going to walk next to me and heel and pack drive to his day, the higher it will build and the more manageable it will become outside. So I want to encourage you to do it inside as much as you can. So I'm going to walk into the door. That's step 1. Step 2, twist your doorknob and open it up. Pause. What is he going to do? If he breaks the sit, I want you to close it. Okay? So if he were to break his sit, I would just want you to do this. That's it. Put him back in a sit. Start over again. Twist it. Open it. Pause. What's he doing? Step 3. Push it open. See what he does. And with you guys, I want you to give him the leash. Let the whole 15 feet of line out and see what he does when you push that door open. Because when he first got here, he took the whole line, right? So hopefully in the next door, he'll try to take the line because I haven't gone through these doors as much that I'm using right now with him, right? But let's say he was like, oh my gosh. Let's see if I can get him to do it. Oh my gosh, the door is open. I want to go. You would go, Bear, come. Bring him back. Sit. Shh. Close the door. Shh. And try it again. So the door swinging open is one of the indicators for Bear time for him to go out. Sit. So what I'm trying to actually achieve is him recognizing that this is not actually access to the outdoors. It's actually the connection he makes with me and my command that gets him access to the outdoors. So you're going to want to backtrack whenever he screws up with the door. You know, you don't want to just blow it off and go through, move forward. He's a forward-moving dog. We want to de-incentivize the behavior. Quit bolting through doors, right? So what we actually want to do is give him a choice. What are you going to do when the door opens? And if that choice is to bolt, we're going to have a long line on him. We say, bear, come, sit, let's try it again, right? And believe it or not, it's tedious at first and might be repetitious a lot at the beginning, but the way it resonates with them is really amazing to have to realize, let's go. I'm moving him because he's fixating on my windows, which I don't want him to do. Sit. So it really resonates with them when they don't end up having access to that outside world, and they keep getting called back. And it's, how do I get outside? How do I get to that freedom? You know, well, you have to wait for my command, dude. You can't just do it because the door opens, right? So step 3 is that door opening phase, right? Step 4, I like to wait for eye contact. And when I find that connection with the dog, this is where I've changed some of my technique. I used to say, step outside and then invite them out with you. What I want you to do now is actually walk through the doorway with him. So when he gives you eye contact, you're going to say, here. And that's going to imply that he needs to walk out the door with you. So we're not going to bolt out the door. We're not going to now run to the fence line as fast as we can. What we're going to do is walk out the door nicely and calmly together. And then I will sit. Sometimes I don't even say sit. I'll just make sure that he hasn't tried to take the line and bolt. And then I'll say, okay, go potty. And I'll release him to go ahead and use the bathroom. So that's usually how I do doors and potty. Usually, that's how I always do it. I don't know why I said usually. Right? So, let's go. If he were to say in this 5th stage, sit, where you're going to go outside, sit down. Do you want some water? Good. In that 5th stage, if you say here, like this, and he bolts, you're going to actually do the same thing that I just told you to do with the door open, right? So I told you to actually let him have the line and call him back and start over again. So that's actually what you're going to do. So if he bolted, whew, you can leave your door open. That part he's already accomplished. You're just going to say, bear, come, here, sit, wait for eye contact, here, and show him how to do it again. So part of this decision-making training is so that they make the choice on their own, right? We're not putting a lot of leash pressure on the dog. We're not, we're not putting a bunch of leash pressure. We're not putting we call this spatial pressure. We're not like doing this to him. We're really actually giving him a choice here to a point, 15 feet. And then we're saying, that is the choice that you've always made, but the actual choice I need you to make in order to get outside is to walk with me nicely to the door. Sit nicely while I open the door. Give me eye contact. Make a connection with me. And let's walk out the door nicely together, hand in hand, calmly. And then it's, go potty. There's your reward. You got released. So now we're going to take this to this door, because this is the door that actually goes outside. Let's see what angle would be better for this video. That angle is much better. Okay, so again, he's going to walk with me to the door. Step 1, come, here, sit. Now, I just want to go over something with you that's non-door related. Gosh, this is a really crooked video. That's just drive related. minute, so we've talked a lot about drive since we've been working together, right? And I am really trying super hard to not let Bear be in prey drive because he's very addicted to it. And one of the things that I've discovered about him is that the longer he's in it, even if it's just for brief moments, like we're inside right now. Come? We're inside, and he's trying to figure out how to look out a window. We have very few windows in this room, and they're all tall, where the only thing he could ever actually hunt is like a bird in a tree. And he's desperately trying to look out the door, or I'm sorry, the window right there, he just did it. Come? This dog is extremely addicted to prey drive, and this is one of the hard things about training an 11-year-old dog, is that we're trying to ask him to transform his state of mind. And he hasn't even been here. Let's go. Come. He hasn't even been here 2 weeks. So we're not going to switch 11 years and 11, I think it's been about 11 days now that he's been here. So we're not going to switch 11 years and 11 days. And even though I've made great progress with him, his addiction is real. He really, at any time I pause at all, anytime I pause at all, whether I'm inside or outside, he tries really hard to fixate on something. If he sees any sort of sunlight at all, he's trying to manipulate me right now. Here, sit. If he sees any sort of sunlight at all, or any sort of doorway or anything, it's like, he's fixated. So what I'm doing right now is actually not door work, it's switching the drive portion of the training. So I've talked to you about drive, I sent you that video about movements, and really just every single time I see that forehead scrunch up and those ears go out like he likes to do, I turn him. I'm constantly moving this dog's brain. I rarely ever sit still with him unless he's on spot or in his crate. If I am active with him doing anything, the level of movement that I'm creating to try to keep him out of that state of mind is pretty significant. So that's another little tidbit of information where the only way to really get this out of Bear is to really kind of almost block that drive as much as we can, because it not only is it addicting to him, but the longer he's in it, it doesn't even have to be like he's been in it for 15 seconds. I mean, like, hey, he's been able to get into that drive 10 times this session. I noticed that it has an impact on him and gets him worked up. So all this turning I'm doing off of the door is actually more of a drive-related thing. So the more you focus on that and try to kind of prevent that from happening, the faster he will kind of let that prey drive state of mind go and start picking this softer state of mind that's going to get him more success. Okay, we walk through the door together. Second, twist the doorknob, open it up, and pause. What's he gonna do? So at first, when I did this, he would break a sit because he thought the door was gonna come open. That's why I like to break it into steps, so I can say, this is actually not even gonna represent the door opening. This is a totally different trigger. What are you gonna do? And he used to break and go to the door. So what I would do is go, Bear, come, back up, let's go, sit, and start again. Just to ensure that the doorknob moving doesn't create this kind of I'm gonna flight out the door and take off mentality. Third step, open the door, what's he gonna do? Nice, give him all the leash, you know? Now here's the tricky part, because the outside world is out here right now. And I want eye contact, and I don't want him. He's not bolting, so we have physical compliance, but mentally he's still in prey drive, and he's fixated on the outside world. Okay? So I'm gonna wait for eye contact. But if I go 5, 10 seconds, and he's still not looking at me, because that's what I'm getting right now, he has not acknowledged my eyes. Inside the garage, immediate eye contact. Right now, there's the first time he's really genuinely looked at me. And it's been probably 20, 30 seconds. So you count to 8 seconds, count to 10. If he hasn't engaged with you, and he's fixated on the outside world, what I want you to do is a 360. Let's go. I walk into him, sit. So that it kind of lures his brain up to me. I do a 360, I sit him, count to 8. If See if you can get genuine eye contact. If you can't get that genuine eye contact, let's go. Do another 360. Sit. If he bolts, bear come. Sit. There it is. See? So really you don't want to have to be waiting for very many seconds for you to get a connection, because let's go. Again, if he's in that state of mind staring at the outside world for too long, then he is going to be harder to manage when he gets outside, and in general he's going to escalate and spike in his behavior. So even in this type of activity, let's go, waiting for eye contact is not even nearly as important as making sure that he doesn't stay in prey drive for very long. Sit. So I'm going to take advantage of this. I get the eye contact here. And then we're going to walk through that door together. Let's go, Bearman. So that's my door video. That's how I want to have you guys do this at home. And that's going to be one of the main, these are going to be one of the main areas of focus that I'm going to ask you guys to focus on. Let's go. So it's going to be time consuming at first, and you guys don't have a lot of time. So it's like, or I shouldn't say that. You guys just have busy lives with the kiddo and jobs and stuff. Sit. So what I'm going to say is, don't rush this process. It's just as important. Goodness. Excuse me. It's just as important as anything else that I'm teaching you. These thresholds really matter. They set the tone, they set the state of mind, and they build the pack drive. So if this becomes 10 or 15 minutes every single time you do it, you can go ahead and count that as a working session, because that's hard for him. And doorways are very hard for him. Let's go. So take your time, go really slow, be really fair. Why are you doing that? Sit. Be really methodical about it, you know. Maybe rewatch this video just to kind of make sure you got all the fine details. Because the more methodical and slow you go, the faster he'll get it, and then the faster the whole process will happen. The pack drive was going to increase tremendously as well if you kind of focus on this. So hopefully that was helpful. I'm going to actually go potty the guy now.